One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart of steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. A metal mayhem that will never die. With vengeance roaring, he paves his way. A legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a big show for you guys this morning. Let's get it. Happy Monday, happy start of the week to everybody. I definitely know the hell we are enjoying it. It's a wet one out. It's definitely raining. It's pouring rain. So anyways, where I live. Trump demands ceasefire as well as Iran, Israel strikes continue, as well as a terror attack. Now, we're going to get into all of these, obviously, here in momentarily. But first, let's go ahead and give you guys a chronological breakdown timeline of what we're going to actually be discussing. There's a lot of shit that happened over in the last, believe it or not, 48 hours, but the last 24 hours have been revealing as well. So anyways, Israel strikes Hezbollah targets. Everyone probably already knows this. And the reason why Israel struck Hezbollah's headquarters, actually, was because they were taking on some strikes. Now, Israel is claiming they were taking on, quote unquote, nonstop strikes up in northern Israel. I don't know that to be exactly 100% true, but I definitely do know that they were getting struck. So then Israel responded and took out Hezbollah's headquarters. Now, doing that caused a big deal over there in the Middle East. Now, first, like I said, we have, Israel strikes Hezbollah targets in Beirut, and we have the update on that as well. Then a whole different thing. This is a suspected terror attack. 1 killed and 5 wounded after suspected terror attack in Israel. It says a gunman in a car opened fire at 3 locations in Israel, close to the border with the occupied West Bank on Sunday, killing 1 man and wounding several others, Israeli authorities said. The police said they killed the suspected gunman following a brief pursuit and recovered the firearm and vehicle used in the shootings, which took place around, I can't pronounce that, Israel neighborhood, but nonetheless. Then we have, this was breaking when it all happened, obviously. Israel reports Iran has launched missiles amid ceasefire. Trump responds. Now he does respond. But Iran basically sent 4 different barrage of missiles to Israel yesterday, and none of them landed, none of them hit. They all got struck down, and Trump had his response on that. But Trump says Israel and Iran must immediately, quote, stop shooting. Now, obviously, you guys see that is actually what we put on the thumbnail. That's Trump's words, is stop shooting. So we put it on the thumbnail this morning. All right, and then we have Trump issues urgent demand to Iran as ceasefire collapses. Now, this was coming out about 4 hours ago, so we're getting into this morning now. But a lot is actually developing here. We actually have more of a chance than I originally had even thought. Magnitude 7.8, it may be 7.8 earthquake strikes southern Philippines, and it was humongous, by the way. This is coming out 3 hours ago. This was actually a very, very big deal. There's some footage that is actually I grew up in Southern California where it's just nonstop earthquakes. But when you're dealing with something like this to this level, I mean, buildings are collapsing and shit. It's not good. Anyways, Israel-Iran trade strikes amid ceasefire negotiations. As you guys already know, we just discussed that. And Trump basically urged Israel not to respond. And so that's why you guys are seeing right now, Israel is not responding right this second. And so this is coming in just an hour ago. Iran says it's halting attacks on Israel after overnight strikes. And yes, and like I told you guys, there was a barrage of basically 4 different sets of missiles that were aimed over at Israel from Iran. Anyways, that's what we're looking at this morning. Let's go ahead and do our call to actions. And I've actually got something to correct on my call to actions. I just realized yesterday, for some odd reason, I've been saying the memberships are $3.99. They're actually $2.99. I've been gypping myself. You guys have been getting off good on that. But nonetheless, let's quickly do these. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side, and hit that subscribe button. This is what we do Monday through Friday. And then, of course, we have members only on Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, by the way. Now, speaking of members, please consider becoming a member starting only at $2.99 a month, making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody. But check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as be, have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, as well as politics, man. I'm heavily involved over there with it. And it's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. We also have a Discord server for all of you legends. We make sure we continue the conversation as a community, not just me, right? Make sure you guys go in the video description down below. That's where the Discord invite link is. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen. At any time, you can donate to those, and I get 100% of the proceeds. And, of course, we'll be reading out loud anything that comes our way, just like a normal super chat. So you guys can interrupt the stream with it. Absolutely. All right. So we've got the email always be scanning. Good morning to everyone, man. Thank you all for being here. Let's see. I'm going to try my damnness. We got a lot of you guys in here. We got Carney Vanguard in the building, as well as Easy Frank. Good morning to you guys. We got PJ as well as Prez. Good morning. Good morning. We got Pops, the clubber. Yes, sir. Good morning. We got Mr. Warlander as well over there on the West Coast. Good morning to you. We got Cameron. Yes, sir. Good to see you. As well as TVT. We got Logical Spark as well as Charlie Rose. Thank you guys for being here and hanging out with the craziness over here. Let's see. We got Texas Gidget as well. Good morning to you. Let's see. We got Carrie, my man, Rob's neighbor. Always appreciate you. All right, let's go ahead and get right into the craziness this morning. We're going to start off with Israel strikes as bullet targets. Now, obviously, like I just told you guys, we're doing this in a chronological timeline, okay? A lot of shit happened over the last 48 hours, but in particular, the last 24 hours as well. A lot of developments happening. So we're going to catch ourselves up into current time, and it's not going to actually take us many stories to do it. So let's go ahead and start off with it.
Taking us out to a social media post courtesy of Trey Yings. He says this new, the IDF is striking Beirut in response to Hezbollah rocket and drone attacks over the weekend. We also have a social media post courtesy of the Prime Minister's office. This is Prime Minister Netanyahu's office. It says this, and in accordance with the directive of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Israel Katz, the IDF has just struck terrorist headquarters in the Dayeh district of Beirut in response to Hezbollah.
And I'll actually show you guys exactly where that is on the map here in a second.
At Israeli territory. I want to bring us out to live images that we do have over in Beirut, Lebanon. As we have been saying throughout this weekend, the fighting has continued. This is what the scene is looking like at this time. But earlier today, a couple of hours ago, I would say, we had these images come into our newsroom. You can see a lot of activity out there in the distance. And Reuters is reporting this, that the Israeli military has struck Hezbollah infrastructure in the southern suburbs of the Lebanese capital of Beirut.
Okay, so you guys see this image right here? I'm going to show you guys exactly where this is. So let me go ahead and stop sharing that screen. Let me go ahead and bring up this Google Maps. Okay, so as you guys can see, there's Damascus over there in Syria. We got Lebanon just north of Israel, as you guys obviously know. So right here in Beirut, Lebanon, as you guys can see right here, this is the area that was struck, and it was right in here, right in this area right here. This whole little realm right here, this is where it happened. Like within a couple mile radius. It all happened right here. So, for context of where these strikes were, for the headquarters in particular, where Israel was striking. Anyways, just so you guys have some context, because it's not like it was out there in the boonies. It was right there in the middle of town, right? So, anyways, let's go ahead and bring this back up. Sorry. Here we go.
The first strike on the militant group's stronghold since an April 16th ceasefire was brokered.
What's up,
Ceasefire has not
Sterling?
yet halted the fighting between Israel and
We got Sterling and Boomer up in the building as well. Appreciate you guys. Good morning as well.
Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, with Israel saying it is working to dismantle Hezbollah's infrastructure on its borders. Hezbollah has rejected proposals linking a ceasefire to its disarmament, saying Israel must first halt its attacks and withdraw its forces from southern Lebanon. In a joint statement with his defense minister, the Israeli prime minister said the strike on this region was ordered in response to Hezbollah
What's up,
firing.
Steve Easy? You've already missed a lot, and we just started. Shit.
Oh shit!
Good morning, kind sir. Great to see you in the chat.
Israeli territory. There were no immediate reports of casualties. The military said earlier it had intercepted 2 projectiles that crossed into Israeli territory from Lebanon after sirens sounded in some of those areas. Hezbollah has not claimed responsibility for those launches. But Israel's...
Yo, real quick, we got Sterling gifting out a gifted membership. Let's go, man. Making it rain already. Thank you very much, kind sir. Not only helps me, but someone else in the IWF, my man. Thank you for your selfless support.
The military also issued an evacuation warning to the residents of the southern Lebanese city of Tyre and its surrounding areas on Sunday ahead of possible strikes. Iran has made a ceasefire in Lebanon between its close ally and Israel a condition for any peace deal with the United States. Hezbollah entered the war on March 2nd, saying it was retaliating for the killing of Iran's supreme leader at the start of the conflict that has since still killed thousands in Lebanon and displaced more than 1 million people. Israel continued to carry out strikes in Lebanon even before March 2nd, despite a U.S.-brokered ceasefire that took effect in November of 2024. It said attacks are aimed at Hezbollah members and infrastructures. That, again, was reporting courtesy of Reuters and the Associated Press over the weekend, also saying that Israeli airstrikes on southern Lebanon Saturday killed 9...
Look at those buildings. They're all chopped. Probably not from that direct strike, but from just previous strikes and stuff. Look at the tops of their buildings.
People, including 3 members of the Lebanese military, the Lebanese army and state media have reported, and it comes...
Brother Steve Easy coming in with the 29 months, by the way, saying Pimp of the Year. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the 29 months, my man. I think we've got a tie between like the top 3 people that are members from basically from that time right there, Steve Easy. So I very much appreciate your endless support with that, man.
Just days
from the very
after
beginning.
Both sides reached a new ceasefire deal. Lebanon's president, in turn...
What's up, Virginia Chaos? Man, good to see you, by the way. You guys missed a lot already. We laid out the entire timeline right before we started this. And I even showed where these strikes were on the map.
Strike against its military, a, quote, flagrant violation of the country's sovereignty and international law during an ongoing escalation that threatens stability and security in the south. An airstrike on a vehicle on a road there killed a general, a captain, and another soldier, according to the army, who did not release their names.
Yes, it was a big deal. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. Like you guys know, we're doing a chronological timeline here to get us to current time. So now we've got some more information on those targets in Beirut. So let's go ahead and bring that up. Let's go and see if we have any other report on this. If it's just somebody coming up to talk to us about it, like some political analyst or whatever, we don't need that. We're just going to dodge that real quick. But let's see if there's any governmental official posts or anything like that.
All right. So we were listening to Philadelphia Mayor Sherelle Parker as she was speaking
I don't
at
care about
conference involving mayors from across the United States. We did want to play out at least some of her comments right there. I'm Stephanie Quinn. You're watching live now from Fox on this Sunday. I did want to share this with you. This is some breaking news out of Lebanon right here, where we can see a lot of activity. This happening just moments ago on the lower left-hand side of your screen. You can actually see what appears to be a fire from an explosion there in Beirut, Lebanon. This comes as Israel continues to trade strikes with Hezbollah there in Beirut. So a look at some video from just moments ago there in Beirut, Lebanon. Meanwhile, this is the live look from that very same spot. You can see that smoke continues to billow there as we are also following additional breaking news. This is from Fox News correspondent Trey.
What are you talking about, John? both sides get condemned all the time.
Saying that a senior Iranian parliament member indicated that Iran will fire on Israel tonight in response to the IDF strikes in Beirut, saying, quote, "We will deliver a decisive and painful response to the Zionist regime's attack." That is according to the spokesman with the National Security Commission. So a little bit more on this as we continue to follow all of these developments. A live look back in Beirut, Lebanon, as Israel has struck Hezbollah targets in Beirut. And I did want to share just a little bit more as Israel struck Beirut's southern suburbs without warning earlier Sunday, days after a ceasefire agreement in Washington went into effect, and despite a U.S. request not to attack Lebanon's capital. Lebanon's state-run national news agency said 2 people were killed and 11 wounded in a
Wow. Okay, so that's the updated numbers, at least from the prior report, because the prior report was like 1 dead and 5 injured.
preliminary count. Iran had warned that an attack on Beirut would renew full-scale war across the Mideast, even as Pakistan tries to restart talks between Tehran and Washington. Iran wanting a deal to include ending the war in Lebanon. Now, there was no immediate White House comment. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said the strikes were in retaliation for the Iranian-backed Hezbollah militant group firing at northern Israel earlier, and that the attacks targeted.
Yes. So let me go ahead and show you. There was a few different locations on the map where Israel was getting struck. So first, let me, again, since we're already on Beirut, as you guys can see, inside this, basically the city, this is exactly where the strikes happened, right here, like in this quarter of a mile radius, somewhere in this area. And then, so let's go ahead and bring us down. So Haifa, right here, is where they got struck up here in northern Israel. Tel Aviv even got hit a little bit. Well, I mean, they were targeted at, but nothing actually went through. And then Jerusalem as well. So there was targets for Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and then Haifa. But Haifa was specifically being attacked by Beirut, by Hezbollah. And so that's where the reason why, because Hezbollah was striking Haifa, kind of back and forth, and just hitting Haifa. Then they came back and said, you know what, we're going to attack your headquarters up there in Beirut. And that's how this whole thing kind of started, at least within the last 48 hours. Anyways, I figured I'd show you guys that. I still have it on standby just in case we do need to use it. Let's go ahead and bring this back up, see if we can get any other information leading up until
command centers in the urban neighborhoods. Hezbollah did not immediately claim responsibility for those strikes, but all of this comes as fighting continues between Israel and Hezbollah, despite last week's announcement that a U.S. brokered ceasefire had been extended. Hezbollah rejecting the U.S. brokered deal and instead endorsing Iran's demand that ending the war in Lebanon be part of the negotiations with the United States. So
real quick, by the way, you guys don't have to like all this craziness, these missile launches, drone attacks, all these different things that are happening around the world, but you guys can like the video for me and what we do here on Insane Wheels. So thank you for that. You know what I mean? It definitely goes a long way. Let's get the likes up.
Look there from Beirut. Now, all of this also comes as Pakistan's interior minister was in Tehran earlier today in a fresh bid to restart negotiations between Iran and the U.S. As the U.S. military said, it shot down 2 more Iranian drones over the Strait of Hormuz that threatened international maritime traffic. The latest action.
What's up, Lawrence? Good morning to you. Hopefully you're enjoying the start of your week. I definitely know the hell we are over here, but it's pouring rain, but I actually like rain. So
comes as the U.S. administration presses Iran to make a deal to end the war. The heaviest fighting ended with a preliminary ceasefire on April 8th, but the sides have not been able to agree on a long-term end to the war. So Pakistan's interior ministry in Tehran right now to deliver a message to Iran's supreme leader. That is according to Iranian state-run RNA news agency. To talk more on this, I do want to...
We don't need to talk more on this. We don't need a political analyst to tell you guys exactly what I'm going to tell you. I'm the analyst. Anyways, let's go and bring, we're going to be directing our attention now as part of the title that I put. I said Trump demands ceasefire as well as Iran-Israel strikes continue. And then at the very end, I put terror attack because there was a terror attack over there in Israel. That's what the IDF is claiming. And it does sound brutal. It sounds like this guy got into a car and started going to multiple neighborhoods and just started shooting people up. Now, luckily, he didn't end up hurting way too many people. But as of right now, the terror attack killed 1 person and wounded 5. So that's the number right now. Now, any of that shit could change, but
we also are following breaking news out of Israel. This is a response from Israeli.
Yeah, Lawrence, I grew up in Southern California and recently moved to Northern Alabama. And man, what a totally, like a world of a difference. I mean, it's like as if it might as well be a whole different country.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office talking about an attack that happened earlier today in which a Palestinian man with Israeli citizenship went on a shooting rampage in several towns in central Israel, killing one person and wounding 5 others. That's
yeah, but real quick, hold on, Steve Easy. There's a difference though, as you know, 93 degrees. I'd rather have 103 where he lives because we actually deal with humidity. You know what I mean? Like 80 here with like 95% of humidity, it might as well be 115, you know?
according to Israeli police. The attacker was killed by police. That attack came at a time of heightened tensions following a series of Israeli settler attacks and also a deadly shooting of a Palestinian baby over the weekend. The attack of this morning began at a gas station near a town located on the Israeli side of the boundary with the occupied West Bank. And several other shootings were also reported in 2 nearby Israeli towns, also inside the West Bank. Police said the 35-year-old Israeli man was killed by the gunman, while the Israeli Rescue Service said 5 other people were wounded, including 2 severely. So this is the reaction.
Now I wonder what I want to know what the terrorist quote unquote ideology is. Like why did he want to go do this? And what was the mission statement of this thing that he did?
From Prime Minister Netanyahu's office saying, quote,
real quick, we got Sterling Wheel coming in with that 420, you know what I mean? Appreciate that. He's saying like button is bent over, tap that button. Yes, sir. Thank you for making it rain in the chat, by the way, and thank you for the 420. We always appreciate you, my man.
Together with all the citizens of Israel, my wife and I send our deepest condolences to the family of Fighter Master Sergeant of blessed memory, a member of the Zernatan emergency response team.
Yo, what up, Tootie? Great to see you, by the way. Is it raining for you? It's raining up here in Northern Alabama.
Who fell today in the vicious terror attack, together with the community's security coordinator who was seriously injured. The Master Sergeant of blessed memory engaged the enemy and heroically protected the residents from the reprehensible terrorist.
Wow. You guys hear that?
The Master Sergeant of blessed memory engaged the enemy and heroically protected the residents from the reprehensible terrorist who went on a murderous shooting spree. I wish a swift and full recovery to our wounded in the attack and stand in solidarity with the security forces who acted with determination.
My man, Desert Outlaw, good morning.
And eliminated the terrorist. We will continue to fight terrorism with an iron fist on all fronts. We are going to continue to follow all of the developments. Obviously, we are following it, and we are right this second. We got a lot to get to current time that we're in right now. So anyways, this was breaking about 18 hours ago, okay? So Israel reports Iran has launched missiles amid ceasefire, and Trump responds. Now, again, like I was telling you guys earlier, is after this attack from, well, Israel attacking Hezbollah's headquarters, after Israel was actually getting attacked first. And so I'm unbiased with these things. I just go based off of the facts. And nonetheless, then afterwards, there was like this kind of an agreement that they're not going to shoot at each other. But after Iran had launched 4 different like barrages of missiles over at Israel, and they were aimed for Tel Aviv, for Jerusalem, as well as Haifa up in northern Israel. So after those 4 barrages, then this morning they're getting to the point and to the table where we're not going to attack one another on that level, as long as Israel doesn't attack Hezbollah. It's contingent on that, right? So anyways, let's go ahead and bring this up. We'll quickly get into this.
All right, I'm Andy Mack here on Live Now from Fox. We're following the latest developments ongoing in.
I think this was Trump's, like, one of his first statements when this was all happening about 18 hours ago.
Middle East, as Israel has said, Iran is sending missiles in their direction, obviously making a question about the ceasefire, fragile one, now in place. I do want to hear from Trey Ying saying the latest on all of that's going on, saying he spoke with the president, saying more on Fox News, as he said, quote, "What I would suggest to Iran, you've got your missiles, that's enough. Get back to the table and make a deal." He does have more comments from the president here on Live Now from Fox, also on social media from Trey Ying, saying it's certainly not going to help negotiations, saying we're very close. I would say an agreement will be signed Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of this week. And now this
Rabbit of Chaos, good morning. Great to see you, by the way.
Takes place, as he suggested to Iran.
But I do think that Trump's words to Trey Yingst, actually, and Trey Yingst is obviously the one that reported this. He was actually on the phone or had correspondence with Trump yesterday. And Trump said, what I would suggest to Iran, you've shot your missiles. That's enough. Get back to the table and make a deal, And that was what Trump's response was. And there's no need to really get any further than that. Let's see what Trey Yingst actually put out something else here.
He spoke with the president. He said, I could see incoming Iranian missiles out the window soaring toward northern Israel. It's certainly not going to help negotiations. What I would suggest to Iran, you've shot your missiles. That's enough. Get back to the table and make a deal on Israel striking.
Mine has gone down a little bit, by the way, real quick. Lawrence, mine has gone down by a little bit. It's not extremely down. It's only down about 30 cents from about the top. Anyways, Trump says Israel and Iran must immediately, quote unquote, stop shooting. And this is where I put it on the thumbnail. As you guys can see, that is what Trump said, stop shooting. So we put it on the thumbnail. All right, so let's go ahead and bring this up and we'll quickly get into it. But first, we got to do the money part. We haven't even done that yet.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Now that's actual factual.
Denied.
That's okay. I still love you guys. All right, let's go ahead and bring this up. We'll get into it. 3, 2, 1, bam.
And welcome back in. And we do have a multitude of live events happening today right now. But we do want to switch gears here real quick and talk about the latest with the ongoing conflicts over in the Middle East, as we are seeing Iran and Israel's trade strikes overnight here. This is coming from the Israel Defense Forces X account. This has struck the IDF completed a large-scale strike on strategic defense systems belonging to the Iranian terror regime. Recently, defense systems were deployed across Iran to restore the regime's capabilities, degrading during Operation Roaring Lion. The strike led to the dismantling of these systems. And this comes as well as President Donald Trump put out on Truth Social.
Yes, by the way, thank you for that, Cameron. Make sure you guys hit that like button, double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. There's a lot of chaos going on. You don't have to like it for that. You guys can like it for me and what we do here on Insane Wheels. So thank you.
Just about an hour ago, saying that Israel and Iran must immediately stop shooting. And to talk more about this, we want to bring in Dr. Asaf Romorowski, who is frequently on the show here. He's also with the Scholars for Peace in the Middle East. Dr. Asaf, thank you as always for joining us.
I actually really like Dr. Asaf. He's a very good analyst as well.
So we're seeing these strikes here overnight. President Trump says to stop shooting. Could these strikes between Israel and Iran possibly complicate any negotiations that President Trump is trying to reach?
Good morning, and thank you as always. I mean, look, I think the fact of the matter is that the Iranians have always been trying to delay the process. They've been trying to use whatever.
Well, their only leverage is the Strait of Hormuz. And so if you're using the Strait of Hormuz as your leverage, well, how do you make the Strait of Hormuz your leverage? Buy time. That's it. That's all. It's a holdout game.
Rouge they have,
which doesn't really work super well for them anymore, because now the United States has a blockade on their ports, on their Iranian ports. And so their oil production has gone down by 50%. Their exports, I don't even know how it's at 90%. It's down 90%. They still have 10% exports, but I'm guessing that is on the land side. That's what I would assume, because nothing's going in and out of the ports. So, yeah, anyways, back to this.
To buy time, and they're looking to get paid for it. I mean, they're demanding the release of assets. They're demanding the release of sanctions that were put on them.
Oh, yeah, trust me, I know. I lived in Southern California for my entire life up until 2 years ago. You know, I lived in Southern California, Los Angeles, in that area, Long Beach, that whole conglomerate down there. And trust me, I was down there, obviously, during the Biden era as well. I was paying over $7 a gallon.
In the tone of billions of dollars
at one point
of assets. They want everybody to pay for them to say sorry. And they're looking to play the game because they assume that just like the Obama administration and then the Biden administration, that the president wants a deal more than anything else. Donald Trump has proven to be a different kind of president to them. And I think the fact of the matter is that we already proven over the course of this last war that there will be military consequences as a way to establish deterrence, which is what we've been doing. This so-called ceasefire that's been mostly in effect has not affected whatsoever, and you and I have discussed this in the past over the past few weeks, the Lebanese front. And now they're hoping, because they too were following the heated conversation that took place between Netanyahu and Trump last week, that Netanyahu would not respond to or retaliate for that matter when it comes to military action. Now, what we've seen here, clearly that's not the case.
You be safe out there, Frank. We always appreciate it.
Israelis have national interest of their own, and they can't afford not to respond since 10/7. And it is important to note that this entire defense reaction by the Israelis was coordinated together with CENTCOM. It was a coordinated effort.
Of course, we already know all of that, so we don't need to hear from Dr. Saf on this particular level, because we already understand exactly what's happening, and that's from yesterday. Anyways, we have the lead up to now. Real quick, we got Miss Lotus in the building. Shout out to you, by the way. Good morning to you. Hopefully you're enjoying it and staying dry out there. All right, so Trump issues urgent demand to Iran as ceasefire collapses. Comes out 5 hours ago, and I believe Trey Yingst is doing the report. Now, he is having direct contact back and forth with Trump, so we are going to be following. As long as whoever Trump is going to be talking to, we have to focus on those people, right?
And we start with a Fox News alert. Israel and Iran trading fire overnight, testing the already fragile ceasefire with the most strikes we have seen in months. President Trump posting to Truth Social just a few minutes ago saying, quote, Israel and Iran must immediately.
Real quick, we got Brother So Loud, my man. Shout out to my man over there in North Carolina, the Boondocks.
Immediately stop shooting.
Nice try. It's not going to work. Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst is live in Tel Aviv with the latest. Trey.
Yeah, guys, good morning. An eventful 24 hours across the Middle East. Just last hour, more explosions reported in the Iranian capital of Tehran as Israel goes on the offensive, responding to waves of ballistic missiles that were fired at this country overnight. This all,
which is true. So once that did happen, then Israel started giving it a little bit back, and Trump spoke with Netanyahu and said, we need to stop this right now. If we want to get anywhere with this fucking deal, which United States standpoint, yes, we want to get this fucking done. You don't want it done, but we want it done, and we're not going to allow you to just continue on with this. So cut the shit. And let's get back to the negotiating table.
Started yesterday afternoon when the IDF struck the Lebanese capital of Beirut, hitting the Dahya neighborhood, a Hezbollah stronghold. Iranian officials later threatened to target Israel and then launched waves of ballistic missiles.
I totally understand that. No, you be safe out there. We always appreciate you.
Toward the northern part of this country, sending hundreds of thousands of people into bomb shelters. Now, as those missiles were soaring through the skies of Israel, I was on the phone with President Trump.
And by the way, all those missiles that went above the skies in Israel were shot down.
Trump getting his reaction. He said, what I would suggest to Iran, you've shot your missiles. That's enough. Get back to the table.
Yes, I did see that, Steve. Real quick, before we get into that, I did see that, Steve. And I also see other reports on it as well, not just CBS, but NBC. There's a couple of other outlets that are also putting it out. But yeah.
And make a deal.
See that.
Israel later launched a series of airstrikes against central and western Iran, going after military targets and air defense systems there. They later hit a petrochemical plant in the western part of Iran. the Iranians responded with more waves of ballistic missiles against this country. And the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen also launched 2 missiles towards central Israel, triggering sirens in Tel Aviv. A lot of kinetic action overnight. Back and forth sirens sounding across this country, millions of people in bomb shelters, and the region now waits to see if there will be more Iranian fire in the hours ahead.
Yeah, I didn't see that shit coming either, Steve, to be honest. But, you know, it's also ironically interesting about that is I'm not surprised. I'm not even surprised. There's obviously some American first people in the Pentagon. So that's probably what ended up happening there. Okay. So anyways.
So right now, Trey, what is Israel on war in 2 fronts? Is it also hitting back? So it's hitting back not only in Israel, it's hitting back inside Lebanon, right?
Yes, this remains a multi-front war, and we should be very clear here. The ceasefire is over. Iran is launching dozens of ballistic missiles at this country. The Israelis are conducting...
Yes, that was earlier, okay? That was earlier, and there is... you got to remember this is before there's some negotiation. There's at least willingness here, so... Whoops, hold on.
Extensive airstrikes across Iran. This is not a ceasefire. This is a return to war. President Trump is calling on both sides to stop shooting. He would like to see a return.
And they've both agreed to stop shooting as long as Israel doesn't attack Hezbollah at all. But the truth is Hezbollah was the ones that attacked Israel first this time. So it's like, what do you expect Israel to do? I mean, come on, let's be honest, though.
To the negotiating table and reach a diplomatic solution to end the region.
Dean Savage, my man. Actually, speaking of, he lives over there in Israel. Great to see you, by the way. Hopefully you're enjoying your afternoon / maybe sort of the evening.
Conflict. When I spoke with the president
Chat with Stacks, good morning.
He told me he was not happy that the Israelis struck the Lebanese capital of Beirut. That led to this exchange of fire. When you talk with Israeli officials, they say we've been coming under Hezbollah rocket and drone attacks and had no other option. But again, the president just minutes ago taking to True Social, calling on both Israel and Iran to cease fire. At this moment, the Israelis are facing incoming fire, not just from Iran, but also from Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. And that attack from the Houthis, which was very rare. We saw today.
Yes, and that did happen. I failed to actually mention that the Houthis also did a little bit of an attack as well, but they weren't extremely effective.
Sounding across Tel Aviv early this morning.
It was a show of unity.
Served as an alarm clock for the Israeli people here in Israel's second largest city. And we could hear the explosions in the distance as that incoming fire was shot down.
Trey, do you get the impression... I understand the goal of peace, and I think it's admirable that the president is trying to accomplish that. But since now that they have returned to the offensive campaign, it's only a matter of time before the United States has to respond as well. I mean, we do joint op.
Yeah. We totally get that. I don't need to hear Trey go on and on about this. We've got updates on the whole thing anyways, so we don't need to hear him just ramble on about something that's old news anyways. But I did want at least you guys to understand the context leading up to the current reports that are happening early this morning. But first, before let's actually take our attention away from the Middle East, let's bring it over to the Philippines. Magnitude 7.8 earthquake strikes southern Philippines. Now, I actually saw a lot of the footage on Instagram, actually. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing, honestly. I mean, there was buildings, full-blown buildings, just, I mean, falling apart. Some things collapsed. I mean, it was just terrible. Their infrastructure is lackluster as well. But anyways, I actually saw people posting it from first-person view, obviously, and seeing how destructive it really actually was it's brutal. So let's go ahead and bring it up. And also, I think everyone needs to embrace their fuck ups. You know what I mean? I think that's what needs to happen.
All right, just get the money part done.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck ups when you have tomorrow's fuck ups to look forward to? You are a fuck up. And fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
See, I even embraced that I fucked up there. I misclicked, hit the money one, then went over to that one real quick. And then, of course, it lagged out, and then I had to restart it all over again. So you got to embrace your fuck ups. You know what I mean? All right, back to this.
Welcome back in, and we do have a live look I want to bring you out to over in the Philippines here.
What's up, Mr. Jack Talcott? Good morning to you. Great to see you. Blessings.
We are monitoring this situation here. You can see there, this is a live look as a 7.8 magnitude earthquake strikes just off the coast of the Philippines as an offshore magnitude 7.8 earthquake rocked the southern Philippines on Monday, killing at least 32 people, injuring more than 2.
You know, I actually don't know anything about this, if there was any tsunami or what kind of other effect that there was afterwards. I don't know the answer to that, actually. Anyways, I want to hear those numbers real quick.
The coast of the Philippines as an offshore magnitude 7.8 earthquake rocked the southern Philippines on Monday, killing at least 32 people, injuring more than 200 others, mostly.
Damn, 32 people killed and 200 others that are actually injured. Damn.
In damaged buildings and sending a 1-meter tsunami into nearby coasts. Now, a few buildings collapsed and key infrastructure sustained quake damage in a city, and tsunami damage was reported in at least one coastal village. Smaller waves were measured in Indonesia and Palu, and as far away as southern Japan. Now you can see here just some of these images that we're getting. You can see some of the damages here that we're monitoring coming out of the Philippines here. As you see some people walking around and assessing the damage there, you can see just some of the rubble right on your left side there. And this is also a section that you see is taped off as well. Do want to bring you in this X post here from the Associated Press. This says the newly reported casualties have raised the overall death toll in the strongest earthquake to hit the Philippines this year to at least 32. The 7.8 magnitude earthquake caused small buildings to collapse and sparked small tsunamis in the southern Philippines. And you can see that picture there. It looks like that entire building just looks like it collapsed with that roof on top, also looking like it's about to give out there. Just incredible damage that we're seeing come out of the Philippines with this 7.8 magnitude earthquake there.
Real quick, I do have some footage here real quick. It's not the footage I saw this morning. I'm trying to look for it right now, but I did find this. Let's see if it'll allow us to play this here.
15 people are dead. 200 others are injured after a powerful early morning earthquake in the southern Philippines. At 7.8, the quake is considered severe by the USGS.
Damn,
with
I didn't
an
even
epicenter
see that
depth of
one.
about 22 miles. Several buildings partially collapsed. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center issued an alert for waves up to 10 feet on the coast of the Philippines and 3 feet for Indonesia and Malaysia. The warning center has since scaled back the tsunami alert, saying the biggest threat has passed.
Tropical storm Boris is churning towards southern Mexico. The National Hurricane Center says the powerful storm.
All right, so that's totally interesting. I'm going to still look for the other photo or the video, and I'll try to locate that real quick. Let's see how much more we have of this. No, we don't have any more of it. Okay, well, we're actually going to move on then. That's what we're going to do because I found some other report there. All right, so Israel-Iran trade strikes amid ceasefire negotiations. Now, this is 2 hours ago, just giving you guys a lead up into this morning. There was some exchange of strikes after this whole thing that's happened. Then Iran doing their barrage of four different sets of barrages of missiles to Israel. And there was some exchanges from Israel's standpoint back over to Iran. I think they hit Tehran. They're basically their capital city.
And also Israel. I want to read out a statement that was just posted by President Trump responding to those renewed attacks. He posted this via Truth Social saying, quote, "Both sides, Israel and Iran, are looking to do an immediate ceasefire. Final negotiations on peace are proceeding, subject to ignorance or stupidity getting in its way. The blockade will remain in place and in full force and effect until a final deal is reached. Things should move quickly. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Bringing us back out live to an image that we have over in Tel Aviv, Israel. And I want to get to some of the latest reporting courtesy of the Associated Press and what has happened over the last several hours. So just a few moments ago, they said this, that the Iranian military's joint command had said that it is halting its offensive operations hours after Israel and Iran began trading fire early.
And I saw that announcement when I woke up this morning, And that was one of the first things I saw was that they both agreed that they're not going to exchange strikes anymore on the contingency that Israel doesn't attack Hezbollah.
Monday in retaliatory strikes that threatened to drag the wider Middle East back into a full-scale regional war. Also, Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels claimed an attack on Israel.
I like when they say it. Houthi. Some people say that's the correct way to say it. I say Houthi, but whatever.
Said Israel affiliated vessels would again be a target in the Red Sea. Tehran had warned of retaliation after Israel struck Beirut's southern suburbs without warning earlier on Sunday. Also, the Israeli strikes came in apparent defiance of President Trump, who told Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu
to stop,
that he doesn't think Israel needs to respond further. In his comments since the attacks, Trump wrote online, quote, Israel and Iran must immediately stop shooting. A lot to discuss this morning, so joining us next on to...
And like I said, that's what we put on our thumbnail this early morning here. Boom, the stop shooting statement. They both need to stop it.
Program is Jonathan Sayed. He is an Iran program research analyst at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Jonathan, good morning.
Good morning. Great to be with you again.
Yes, by the way, guys, I very much appreciate you guys being here. But one thing I do ask you guys to do is hit that like button, double tap that screen. Thank you. Let's get the likes up.
Thanks for joining today because a lot happening within the last several hours. Let's bring up a social media post here, courtesy of Barak Ravid. He is an Axios correspondent. He says this: the Israeli Air Force conducted strikes on military targets in central and western Iran on Monday morning local time in retaliation for an Iranian missile attack against Israel. That's according to the IDF. Jonathan, based off of these developments, where are we at right now when it comes to negotiations and really the entirety of this war?
Now, that was early this morning.
Well, the negotiations, as you and I were discussing a couple of weeks ago, have been halted, and Tehran specifically cited Israeli attacks against Hezbollah in Lebanon as a concern, which was never part of the equation to begin with, which really tells you what this regime sees as, one, a bargaining chip, and two, which is the most significant here, is it was the first time that the Islamic Republic carried out preemptive strikes against any other nation. That is really remarkable.
Wow, I didn't actually know that. I actually did not know that fact that he just spit right there.
Which is the most significant here, is it was the first time that the Islamic Republic carried out preemptive strikes against any other nation. That is really remarkable because for many years, they've been, for the most part, reactive. Not to say they haven't been instigating through proxies.
Oh, of course. And that's exactly how they play the game. They instigate by the proxies. Exactly, 100,000%.
But this time,
obviously,
from mainland Iran, they were the first to initiate a new wave of confrontation, which the sign is very clear that they think they can absorb another round of attacks, and they're effectively messaging the United States and Israel that should these hostilities continue, Iran does not see a problem maintaining, this level of aggression. But time will tell if this is truly the case, given that the blockade is actually still in place and Iran is still losing millions every day.
This is some video that we just got into our newsroom. It's just some of the strikes.
Hundreds of millions.
Apparently, and happening down there. You can see some of those missiles up there in the air, the lights flickering up above. An Iranian official, Jonathan, warned also that the U.S. is, quote, responsible for the consequences of any escalation in the Middle East. I want to put up some video.
Yeah, but that wasn't the claim. It was them saying from mainland Iran. That's the first time they've shot from mainland Iran, not from their proxies. That's what the statement was.
Because we did have a press conference or a briefing featuring officials there in Iran. It was hosted today. He spoke to members of the media here. Here, they're saying that, quote, no one believes that the Israeli regime would take any action without.
So look, you just reminded me, Cameron, to fix that. So now my scroller actually is now reflective of $2.99. I don't know why I've been saying $3.99. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how long I've been saying it wrong like that.
Coordination with the United States. So from Iran's perspective at this moment, how intertwined are both the U.S. and Israel, and how independently is Israel working as it also has this war against Iran?
coalitions are made up of sovereign states, which means there might be coordination, but there are times that a specific country's interests are attacked, while the United States, in this particular case, doesn't feel the need to step in, especially in a measured sense. That's why maybe they provided Israel the green light. Ultimately, it's unrealistic to expect the country not to respond when it's being under attack by.
Absolutely. And that's, I think everyone gets that. Everyone truly does actually understand that. You know, hey, listen, you attack any of these people, they're going to attack back. That's kind of common sense. Real quick, let's see if there's any, okay, there is some post here. Trey Yanks comes out and says during this whole news segment here, Iran announces an end to operations against Israel, warns of additional attacks if strikes are conducted against Lebanon, which in particular for Hezbollah. Let's see if there's any other post. There is from the IDF. Let's go ahead and read this out.
Fighting has stopped at least for a moment, but we had some, announcements from the Israel Defense Forces over the last few hours about which targets they specifically struck. The IDF posting this to social media saying several infrastructure sites at a petrochemical complex in Mashhar in southwestern Iran. These facilities were used by the armed forces of the Iranian terror regime to produce and export raw materials for weapons production. The targeted infrastructure produced unique materials that serve as critical components for the development of ballistic missiles. So how big of a development or success, I guess, from Israel's perspective is it?
Right. That is a good question.
To strike
like, did they actually get anything of substance?
This particular petrochemical complex, Jonathan, what can you tell us about this?
So Mashhar as a city and as a complex being located in the southwest is crucial. And the most challenging
I don't know who the fuck you're talking to, mister.
part of Iranian infrastructure, and I say this as a person who grew up in Iran most of my life, and the
hell yeah, Carney, we'll send over the raid to you guys.
idea here is that any attack against Iranian infrastructure, in theory, should be seen as an attack that would harm the Iranian people. But as time and time again, we see anything that's linked to Iranian natural resources that in theory should be a national, asset for the average Iranian is being exploited for weapons development, proliferation. So it's such a country that, of course, is increasingly increasing gas prices internally. Instead of doing that, instead of addressing the economic challenges, they're using every facility for, in this case, ballistic missiles. As when it comes to the production and the manufacturing capabilities of the regime, they were greatly hit earlier. But this time, what this target is very different is that it still has a dual purpose. Petrochemicals are still part of Iran's major exports. Even though there's still a blockade, in theory, Iran was still extracting more and more and adding it to the stockpile. And now they're not going to have the capabilities to do that either. So this new phase we see has a great economic component, whereas during the previous round of conflicts, it was only military. Now the strategy is shifting. Not to mention, there's certainly an underlying covert range of operations that we just don't hear about until they're done, maybe weeks from now.
It's interesting you mentioned this as
okay. So let's go ahead and move on into the next setup here. It says, this is just in 2 hours ago, Iran says it's halting attacks on Israel after those overnight strikes. Now, that was basically kind of a little bit of the report that we heard there on Live Now. Now we're getting this out of Fox. Now, I'm sure they're going to bring on Trey Yanks. That's where he usually does go right here. So, I mean, he works for Fox, so of course.
It's a Fox News alert. Israel and Iran trading fire overnight with the most strikes we have seen in months.
But President Trump posted on Truth Social earlier this morning saying that Israel and Iran are looking to do an immediate ceasefire as, quote, final negotiations on peace are proceeding.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yanks was talking to the president. He is live in Tel Aviv with the latest. Hey, Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. It looks like these sides are listening to President Trump. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps just announced they are halting attacks against Israel, but maintain the ability to fire again if the Israelis target Hezbollah in Lebanon. This is a significant development and an indication we may be looking at an off-ramp here after a whirlwind 24 hours across the region. This all started yesterday afternoon when the IDF struck the Lebanese capital of Beirut, going after the Hezbollah neighborhood of Dahya. immediately after Iranian officials threatened to fire on Israel, and hours later they did just that, launching 4 waves of ballistic missiles toward the northern part of this country, sending hundreds of thousands of people into bomb shelters. The Israelis, after, decided they were going to return fire and strike Iran. But I was speaking with President Trump as these missiles were soaring through the skies of this country, getting his initial reaction. And the president told me what I would suggest to Iran: you've shot your missiles, that's enough. Get back to the table and make a deal. And again, the president reiterating his desire for a diplomatic solution today, calling on both Israel and Iran to stop shooting. The Israelis conducted dozens of strikes against the Iranian regime in response to that missile fire.
So, Mister, I gotta ask. Are you a part of the Gematria boys? Is that who you are?
And then early this morning, just after sunrise, sirens sounded across Israel's second largest city of Tel Aviv amid incoming Houthi ballistic missile fire launched from Yemen, an Iranian proxy there. The Iranians then followed up with more ballistic missiles against Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and the northern city of Haifa before all of this started to de-escalate amid those calls from President Trump for both sides to stop shooting. But again, the latest information that we have, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
Gematria is where they correlate every word to a number. It's like every word or every letter is a certain number, and if you add it a certain way, it gives you certain numbers. And they love to try to correlate that to, like, as if they can predict everything. Everything's rigged. Everything in the establishment is rigged, which it is. But it has nothing to do with gematria. And then you have a whole bunch of shit. Like they say, every single sports, everything is rigged. Everything is through numbers. They can predict everything. It's fucking gay.
Has announced they will halt their fire against Israel, and the Israelis have not struck Iran for at least 4 hours, an indication that we may be looking at a return to ceasefire. Guys?
So, Trey, Hezbollah will not sign on to a ceasefire. Iran says we're not going to sign on to a ceasefire until Israel stops hitting Hezbollah. Hezbollah's not going to stop hitting Israel. It doesn't seem like we're going to have this. It seems like America back at Iran is inevitable.
Yeah, this isn't over.
Yeah, that would be what he's pushing for, though, would take a ground invasion to do. And I staunchly am against that.
And there are still around 50,000 U.S. forces across the region. And now we are looking at 2 international shipping lanes. Remember, there is an ongoing U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports that is crippling the Iranian economy. And right now, Iranian exports are down about 90%. They're extracting crude oil at a 50% rate. This is a significant blow to the Iranian economy. And the president has indicated
I actually ironically gave you guys that stat this morning. That's cool that I was spot on.
Right now, Iranian exports are down about 90%. They're extracting crude oil.
See, in that 90%, I thought it was super interesting when I read that original report, and not from him, but the other report. There's reports that come out nonstop, and that's one of the ones that I read. And I thought to myself, 90%. Well, how are they doing the 10%? And I'm like, oh, well, by land through the north, you know,
at a 50% rate.
Or
this
through
is
the
a
east.
Significant blow to the Iranian economy. And the president has indicated that blockade will stay in place. Remember, he's trying to get a deal with the Iranian regime to open the Strait of Hormuz and then ultimately...
What's up, Extra Surprise? Good morning.
...disable Iran's nuclear ambitions and to export or destroy the highly enriched material that remains inside of Iran in the aftermath of the U.S. strikes last summer during Operation Midnight Hammer. But there was an interesting development earlier today when the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen got involved in the fight, because not only did they launch...
Right, and I think it really showed it was symbolic, showing that they're unified as a proxy, well, as an operation, I should say, because nothing actually really happened. Yes, Houthis did shoot some shit, but truth is nothing landed.
2 ballistic missiles toward Israel. The Houthis announced that they were closing the gateway to the Red Sea indefinitely, and it is known as Bab al-Mandab, which
What's up, Hardwire? Good morning to you, by the way.
Translates broadly to the gateway of tears, and that is what it is referred to in the region, because around 12% of the world's shipping actually passes there through the Red Sea. And so we're now looking at 2 international shipping lanes and more levers that the Iranians are trying to pull because they're backed in a corner. They don't have much leverage at the negotiating table. Much of their military was decimated during Operation Epic Fury. Their navy is resting at the bottom of the Persian Gulf, and they're trying to use what is left.
Yeah, on a military front, they're weak as fuck. They still have their ballistic missiles, which is truly their offense and their defense. It's always really actually acted as their actual Air Force. I mean, yes, they had a small Air Force, but it wasn't anything to, they actually bank on their ballistic missile program. So that's really their leverage right now is them just having to, all they have to do is threaten that they're going to close the strait, that, we're going to threaten to attack one of you guys. We're going to threaten to, and then you make an example out of 1 or 2 ships, send in 3-4 drones and attack one. And now you've got ship owners, you've got insurance companies, you've got all these people are saying, to the captain, if you go through this, we're not insuring this. And then you've got the ship owners saying, absolutely do not go through. So that's how that shit really does happen. And that's where Iran has the leverage on that aspect.
Of their proxy groups in places like Yemen and Lebanon to put pressure on regional countries and U.S. forces across
What's up, Bob, up there in Canada? Good morning.
Middle East. Right now, it appears like things are returning toward the negotiation.
Oh, Papa Penguin. Papa Penguin's been focused on his life. He's actually planning on moving out of the country, which I think he's still doing. So anyways.
Table, but remember, President Trump holds the cards here because of that U.S. naval blockade. If the Iranians want to drag out these talks, they're the ones that are going to pay a very heavy price as it relates to their economy. And U.S. and Israeli forces remain on high alert across the region. If the Iranians decide to resume missile fire toward Israel, likely then we'd look at a scenario where higher level combat operations would resume.
So Trey, real quickly, can you speak to these young people, these college students that are now going to be protesting? Over the weekend, it was reported that Iran is going to start doing the trials again of people that they say are traitors to the government, meaning people that are they don't want to be executed, live life like normal people. What's going to happen to these kids out here? Are they going to be a part of that 30,000 number again that they target?
It's certainly a scary situation for Iranian civilians. And oftentimes when we talk about this story...
No, all they did was launch some missiles. And doing that, it signifies that they're unified as an operation. It was really symbolic, really.
We speak about the ballistic missile fire and the airstrikes taking place. But remember, Iran is a country of more than...
Yes, for a very short time, we were in overtime. But we're not going to be in overtime very long today. So I don't want to hype you guys up over it.
People. And many of those people were in the streets of their country earlier this year demonstrating against the economic conditions inside of Iran. And President Trump says 42,000 of them...
Okay, right here, this map right here, I've seen this map before. Reported student protests across Iran. This happened over a lot of the weekend. There was a whole bunch of shit going on.
Were slaughtered in the streets of their own country. And it wasn't just in the capital of Tehran. It was across Iran, where there was this brutal crackdown from Iran's besieged forces and IRGC commanders. Now, many of those commanders and their headquarters were taken out in U.S. and Israeli strikes during Operation Epic Fury. And now that the internet is partially back on, we're starting to get more information and images out of Iranian territory. But remember, all of this is connected here because when we look at the domestic pressure put on the Iranian...
Mr. Al Patterson, good morning. Hopefully you're enjoying the start of your week.
...regime. As a result of this ongoing U.S. naval blockade, the pressure continues to rise. And as recently as about 4 months ago, the Iranians were considering moving their capital from Tehran because they couldn't get water to the civilian population. This speaks to how desperate the regime is. And that was before their military was damaged so heavily during Operation Epic Fury. And so we are looking at a very complex and multifaceted situation that involves the civilian population on the ground in Iran. You have...
Man, this is all complex. I mean, not only just with the Iranians and their own conglomerate, but the way that their proxies work as well. And it's very fascinating watching all of it happen in real time, because we've always talked about the axis of resistance and we have seen them unified, obviously, in the past, but seeing mainland Iran being actually involved in how they work together. It is fascinating to watch.
IRGC that are still threatening to fire on U.S. bases across the Middle East. And then you have these more relatively moderate voices that exist in Tehran, like the parliament speaker, Mohammad Ghalibaf, or the president, Masoud Pezeshkian, that understand they cannot beat the United States and Israel on the battlefield, and they will have to make concessions.
Well, ironically, that's why I didn't say it, Steve, because truth be told, usually when I do claim that, hey, everybody, we're in overtime, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, send in your donos. That's the reason why, is because we're at the very tail end of this. So, and that's where we lead up. So I don't want to have you guys send in a whole bunch of money and then me go, okay, see you guys. Bing, you know what I mean?
Negotiating
table.
Right. And they've been sidelined, those moderate voices, it seems. Trey, thanks so much.
Thank you, Trey.
All right. And so, of course, as you guys know, this is what we do here. We follow all of this shit Monday through Friday. And then, of course, we got Saturday morning for members only, man. I can't thank you guys enough for your guys' engagement, hanging out with us. And listen, this is what we do nonstop. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, double tap that screen, hit that like button on your guys' way out. Also, stick around. We're going to be rating our buddy Carney Vanguard. He's live right now, or soon to be anyways. Or maybe he should be already. But nonetheless, go over there, let them know we're coming through with the Mike Ball raid. And until tomorrow morning for more of the world's madness. God bless everyone. We'll see you guys. Much love, honor, respect, everybody.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerging.